When it comes to uncanny abilities, the human race is perpetually put to shame by our animal brethren. Of course, humans can stay humble on the matter. After all, we're animals ourselves. As a bias of the human condition, humans would rank themselves as superior in terms of intelligence to animals, and perhaps rightfully so, at least in most cases. While humans are by and large more intelligent than animals, they possess some amazingly strange abilities that humans only wish they had. Want to find some out? Watch till the end. Ready for a wild ride? Before we jump into these unbelievable animal talents, do me a favor. Tap that like button, share any cool animal facts you know in the comments, and hit subscribe. Oh, and a heads up, the description is packed with some beastly awesome deals. Let's unleash the wonders of the animal kingdom together. Number 10. Borneo Hills Ninja Slug. Discovered in the mountain forests of Sabah, Malaysia, the Ibycus racheli, a semi-slug with a shell too small to retract into, is distinguished by its stunningly long tail. The tail measures around triple the length of its body and is used for wrapping around itself while dormant, not unlike a cat that may use its tail for a similar purpose. But that isn't quite the most impressive or odd thing about this slug's abilities. It's known to some as a ninja slug because of the calcium carbonate love darts that it can shoot into the bodies of its potential mates. These darts are infused with hormones that invigorate the potential mates to be in the mood for what will hopefully result in successful reproduction. That is, of course, if the prospective mate can overlook being shot this way. In human society, such procurement would likely result in some trouble and potential jail time. Number 9. Self-immunizing opossum. Opossums are well renowned for their signature defensive trait of faking their own death when confronted with danger, or, as it is scientifically known, engaging in thanatosis. This tactic is quite effective against predators, a bit less so against vehicles, though. Of course, other creatures wouldn't be bothered by an animal playing dead. Some would use other means to take opossums down, including venoms such as bees, snakes, and scorpions. But the opossum is prepared for this type of attack as well, with a naturally produced LTNF, or lethal toxin neutralizing factor protein, that detects the presence of venom in the opossum's body and moves to neutralize it. Lest you think this makes the opossum only immune to venom-slinging creatures in its own local region, think again. The protein acts as an anti-venom against any snake in the world. Of course, scientists were curious if this protein will work for other animals who don't develop it naturally, so they injected it into rodents. To their surprise, it seemed to grant them similar immunity against venoms that would otherwise be lethal. Number 8. Hippopotamus blood sweat sunscreen. The hippopotamus is a fascinating creature for reasons that lay outside of its well-earned reputation as one of Africa's deadliest mammals, responsible for the most human deaths across the entire continent. There are many interesting facts to know about these semi-aquatic giants. Aside from generating a poop helicopter with their tail, the hippos, who live in the sweltering heat of Africa, need to cool off by spending most of their lives submerged in rivers and lakes. However, while the water keeps these titans cool, it does little to protect their skin from the sun's rays. Luckily for the hippos, and grossly for the rest of us, they produce their own natural sunscreen. Sounds impressive? Hold that thought a moment. The sunscreen is actually formed from a gelatinous, blood-red secretion produced from glands under the hippo's skin. These are unlike sweat glands, which reside in the skin. The substance is composed of a pair of very acidic compounds. This blood sweat dries on the hippo's skin, acting as a sunscreen lotion that absorbs visible and ultraviolet sunlight rays. But that is not all this gross lubricant provides the hippos. When hippos fight each other, as they tend to do on occasion, they get wounded. The sustained wounds could be infected, but the excretion of the substance from under their skin permeates the wounds and protects them from infection, serving as a powerful antibiotic. Number 7. Flying snake. Every part of the world is home to some creatures that combine all of the worst features into one bizarre and terrifying nightmare. People are already fearful of snakes, crocodiles, and spiders, but what if they met a flying snake? It's bad enough to run into a serpent crawling unexpectedly on the ground in front of you, but meeting one at eye level would send most people to permanent insomnia. That's just what you might come across if you visited some of Southeast Asia's forested regions. These fascinating and terrifying creatures might be mildly venomous, but they can flatten their bodies by sucking their stomachs in while slithering on tree branches. They can then leap from one tree branch to another if they sense a predator or another danger around. Their flattened shape even allows them to glide through the air, earning them the moniker of flying snakes. So how far can it glide through the air without winds or anything to produce from their bodies to serve as such? As far as 100 meters. Number 6, suicidal ant. Ants can be territorial, and many species will attack anyone, including humans, that try to disturb or harm their home. But a species found in Brunei and Malaysia have a more explosive approach to defense. This species has an enlarged mandibular gland that runs the length of its body and is a type of toxic glue. When necessary, the ants contract their abdomen so intensely that the glands burst. The result is unpleasant for the victim and deadly for the ant, as the burst sends a gushing, sticky secretion emanating from the creature's head. Not only does this secretion explode all over the threat or predator, but the sticky liquid causes its limbs to become immobile due to entanglement. This is especially true for smaller creatures. This renders them incapable of counterattacks and being covered in a substance that they simply can't clean off. Number 5, pistol shrimp. The pistol shrimp sports a powerful, massive claw, which, when clamped shut, can result in a bubble capable of either killing its prey or stunning it into shock. Perhaps that's not too impressive, but there are a few things that may help make it so. For one, the shrimp is roughly 1 to 2 inches in length, or 3 to 5 centimeters, which makes it a very unassuming predator. Even at that size, however, the cavitation bubble is capable of traveling at 60 miles per hour, or 97 kilometers per hour, manifesting a sound as high as 218 decibels. If you want to know how loud that is, consider that a sound that reaches 160 decibels is capable of rupturing a human eardrum. Not sufficiently impressed yet? The cavitation bubble created begins to collapse, but the temperature of the inner vapors and the inner pressure causes the gas to dissipate violently into the liquid surrounding it. This produces an acoustic shock wave alongside sonoluminescence lighting. That is due to temperatures hot enough to reach a surreal 4,700 degrees Celsius, if only for a very brief period of time. For comparison, the surface of the sun is estimated to be around 5,500 degrees Celsius. If the pistol shrimp's claw is lost, it will grow another, smaller claw to take its place as it waits for the amputated one to regrow into normal size. Number 4, sea cucumber. Imagine escaping a predator by turning into liquid. Sounds like a superhero ability, doesn't it? Not for the sea cucumber, though. It can liquefy and re-solidify its body at will to escape danger. By changing their bodily consistency, sea cucumbers can hide in small spaces, like crevices and cracks in rocks or coral, to escape from predators. Then, to assure they stay hidden, assume solid form once inside. The skin of a sea cucumber is made up of mutable collagenous tissue, a unique collage type that can slide, stretch, and transform without incurring damage. When a solid form is regained, the tissue reconstructs it into a lattice structure. That is an impressive superpower, to be sure, but it's not their only one. When under threat, sea cucumbers discharge sticky threads, enabling them to ensnare enemies. Some can defend themselves by mutilating their bodies by contracting so hard that some of their internal organs are discarded from the creature's anus. The body quickly regenerates the missing body parts once the creature begins to regain form. Number 3, mimic octopus. The ability of an octopus to camouflage itself by changing its texture and color to blend with its surroundings is well known. But a mimic octopus takes this chameleon-like nature to a whole different level. Not only can it blend with its environment, but it can also actually transform its shape to impersonate other sea animals. What the octopus impersonates depends on who is causing it danger. Mimic octopuses are intelligent enough to take on the form of a particular predator depending on a particular situation. For instance, witnesses accounted for a mimic octopus being attacked by a damselfish. The creature defended itself by burying its body and 6 of its tentacles in the sand, while the remaining 2 are left dangling out, pointing in opposite directions, resembling the movements of a sea snake. Even more impressively, mimic octopuses have been seen resembling forms of stingrays, jellyfish, lionfish, mantis shrimp, flatfish, and sea anemones. As many as 15 species impersonations have been documented. Number 2. Self-healing axolotl. Several things make the axolotl a very strange creature. First, even after sexual maturation, this neotenous salamander retains its larval form. While it is a water resident, it has a very basic set of lungs that allow it to gulp air from the water's surface. Secondly, it has uncanny healing powers. When any body part is damaged, its body immediately begins to regenerate cells to repair the damaged area. The skin cells at the inflicted trauma start to quickly take form, with tissues growing in the area. But it's not just the outside that gets repaired. The axolotl generates new bone, muscle, nerves, blood vessels, and sinews. The most amazing part of all, this new limb will be grown to its normal appearance in just a few months. But this regenerative healing ability is not limited to limbs. It occurs to other non-vital organs and even the creature's brain. It's no wonder these fascinating creatures and their healing power are studied by labs all over the globe, so that humans can find a way to leverage this ability to help human beings perform some incarnation of tissue regeneration. Number 1. Immortal jellyfish. Humans have long chased a fruitless pursuit of immortality, but the Turritopsis nutricula, a jellyfish species, has already laid claim to this ability. Once this creature reaches sexual maturity, it reverts to an immature polyp stage. This process, called transdifferentiation, is the ability to transform a specialized cell from an older version to an entirely new version of itself. The medusa actually physically regressed into the beginning stages of its growth as a polyp colony member, absorbing both its bell and its tentacles. In other words, after it becomes an adult, it reverts to being a baby and restarts its maturation all over again. The craziest part of it all is that they can do this without limitation, which means they will never achieve old age. It is, in fact, the world's only documented biologically immortal being. That's not to say that their immortal life can't be ended by a predator while they're in polyp form, especially since they're out in the open being unable to move. So while this jellyfish can live forever, it rarely ever is a process that's possible to replicate for an extremely long time.